Hey, what's up, what's up, what's up? How you doing? How you been? What's going on? What's good? How you getting it in? Body getting it funny. What's going on, people? What's going on, people? It is a day of another day that we call Sunday. Anybody being said, what's going to people? I want to talk to you about something about the story at hand. I want to do an experiment with you. Okay. I want you to close your eyes if you can do this with me. I just would love for you to cooperate with me. I would love for you to cooperate with me for a second. You know, I just want you to just fill me out on this one. I want you to close your eyes. Now I want you to picture yourself walking home. I want you to picture yourself coming from a party, walking home, and you had too much to drink. And as you're going home, someone grabs you and rapes you. But by you being intoxicated, you don't realize a lot of things that's happening to you. And usually with a lot of times with people who have been drinking and stuff, they kind of like fall, in and out of consciousness. Now, you wake up. You're in the hospital. You know what happened. Then you find out that you was raped. Then when you hear the story unravel, you find out that two guys stopped someone who was raping you on top of you. Now, you've been assaulted. Of course, you got to get tested and everything, as far as getting any type of disease or something, that's, But now you're mentally drained. And then you find out that they found the accuser who raped you. Now, as you know, your body has been violated and stuff like that, and you find this, you find so many different things that was on you and on your clothes, and you realize the next day you're devastated what's actually happened to you, and is it further down? I'm gonna have a disease? Is something going to be wrong with me? Do I have to keep getting tested every 6 months? Do I have to keep getting tested? Because I'm going through so many different dramas and flashbacks and things in my life at that night and that time. Then you find out that the person who raped you, you found information who raped you and stuff like that. Now you find out that the person who raped you and stuff, you go to court and everything, that, get 3 months. And the family sends a letter. The father says, 20 minutes of action. And the mother left the letter as well. Check this out. Okay. Now, in case you know what I'm talking about this story in reference to Brooke Turner, 20 years old. And what I was saying as far as my demonstration, it's in reference to this, but it's kind of like another way around it. And I'm going to give you this story right now.
Sexual assault. A former Stanford swimmer convicted of 3 felonies after attacking an unconscious young woman. But it was his 6-month sentence that provoked national outrage. Now, after serving just half his jail term, he's free. Here's ABC's Matt Gutman with the fallout.
It may have been a short jail sentence, but Brock Turner's walk to freedom seemed long, opening the jailhouse door today with a bang. The former Stanford swimmer hustling through the gauntlet of reporters hurling questions at him.
Brock, are you finding ways to apologize? You wish you had a longer sentence. Brock, you wish you had a longer sentence.
Then whisked away in this car. He'd served just 90 days of a 6-month jail sentence. But look closely. He's not leaving jail empty-handed.
You mentioned hate mail. What kind of volume are we talking about?
And large amounts of mail. Large amounts.
What are you going to do with the mail once he leaves jail?
Release it to him.
Turner is now out of this jail cell. His time behind bars is ending. But for the survivor of the assault, a new fear is just beginning.
Every time she sees a tall, blonde man with short hair from behind, she's going to be fearful that that's him, no matter how unlikely or improbable that is. That is a part of life.
In March, Turner pleaded not guilty to sexually assaulting Emily Doe, who was passed out drunk behind a dumpster after a party on the Stanford University campus. It was right there on that January night in 2015 that graduate students Carl Friedrich Arndt and Peter Johnson stopped when they saw two people on the ground.
She wasn't moving.
And the man on top of her was?
Yeah. Or my friend said, what are you doing? But he later said, I didn't do anything, etc. when he was lying down on the ground, for example. And it tried to seem like nothing happened, essentially.
According to Arndt, when Turner made a run for it, he and Johnson ran after him, pinning him to the ground.
Then others were there, helping to restrain him until the police came.
When you saw her lying there on the ground, was it pretty obvious what had happened?
Yeah. I mean, she was half naked, so yeah.
Soon after police arresting Turner, they took these images of him, showing the abrasions on his face, his hands, and his torn flannel shirt. In an initial interrogation, he told police he'd been drunk, but functional. We watched that interrogation video, and not once is Brock Turner emotional. Now, in it, he says, quote, "My intention was not to try to rape a girl without consent. I was trying to hook up with the girl." And he says they were intimate, but he never did get her name. For his victim, this was no hookup. From the letter she read in court, Emily Doe recounts, "My breast had been groped, fingers had been jabbed inside me, along with pine needles and debris. My bare skin and head had been rubbing against the ground behind a dumpster." Brock Turner was convicted of sexual assault. He was sentenced in June. He faced 14 years in prison. The prosecution asked for 6 years. He received only 6 months and served half that time. The judge assigned his case, Aaron Persky, saying he feared the severe impact a prison term would have on the star college swimmer.
What was this judge thinking? I don't know what he's thinking, but I know what we can do about it. We can try to get him off the bench.
That sentence setting off a firestorm. Persky saying he even received death threats. And following the backlash last week, he removed himself from all criminal cases.
Is what's happening to Judge Persky a witch hunt?
Yes. 100% witch hunt, because what is being spread about him is actually absolutely factually and legally incorrect. Who isn't against sexual assault? It's like being against puppies and rainbows. I mean, I, as a public defender since 1990, I don't like crime any more than anyone else likes crime. You know, and I don't like sexual assault any more than anyone else likes it. Everything that's being spewed forth is absolutely wrong.
But Professor Michelle Dauber says Judge Persky's displayed a pattern of leniency in sexual assault cases.
This judge, he seems to have a real misunderstanding about the role of alcohol in sex crimes.
Could this just be about, judicial discretion and a judge trying to be progressive and lenient in a society where, most often prison doesn't actually help rehabilitate offenders?
No. If you look across this judge's cases, he has consistently bent over backwards in favor of white, privileged defendants in sex crime cases and in cases involving violence against women.
And just this Monday, the California State Assembly passing a bill inspired by Turner's sentence to impose harsher penalties for similar assaults. If signed into law, an offender convicted of sexual assault would serve a mandatory minimum of 3 years behind bars. Santa Clara County Sheriff Laurie Smith says it's time for that change.
I don't think that anybody who's convicted of rape should serve time in county jail, especially when they only serve 3 months. I just think the law is wrong. No woman should have to go through that, and he should be in prison.
And tonight, the Stanford campus still seething over Judge Persky's ruling.
It wasn't taken seriously as a problem, and I think that's what happens when violence is committed against women.
The outrage over Turner's sentence echoed just last month in Massachusetts, when 18-year-old David Becker, charged with raping 2 classmates, walked out of court with 2 years probation after pleading to the lesser charge of indecent sexual assault. Becker's 2 female classmates told police they were at a house party with the star athlete in April. They said they'd been drinking and had gone to sleep. Both claimed they woke up at different times to Becker sexually assaulting them. According to police reports, Becker told investigators that when one of the girls didn't protest, he assumed it was okay, and he denied having any physical contact with the other alleged victim. The 18-year-old's lawyer arguing he had no criminal record, did community service, and deserved to go to college. The judge in the case seeming to agree.
I think that given Mr. Becker's position in life, to find him guilty at this point would slam a lot of doors.
Thousands of online petitioners calling for the removal of that judge from the bench, some calling the similarities to the Stanford trial striking, with one tweet reading, "Brock Turner and now David Becker, privilege is a lethal thing." Tonight, Turner is on his way back to his home state of Ohio, where they're already protesting his arrival.
To have somebody like that in our neighborhood who isn't very friendly to young women, I just have an issue with.
He'll have to register there as a sex offender every 90 days for the rest of his life.
Should people be concerned that Brock Turner's being released?
No, I mean, he's going to be watched. He's going to be on probation. There's nothing that indicates that Brock Turner was any kind of a monster. It was a bad mistake on that night, and he will suffer the consequences for the rest of his life.
But that is small consolation for the survivor.
She underwent a very, very, very traumatic and serious sexual assault. Of course, it's very upsetting to her to think that he is now going to be wandering around out in the world, and even though she knows that he's going to be primarily living in Ohio, you know, he could be anywhere.
You see that? Free. Now, a lot of times people feel as though, you know, this white privilege and stuff like that, and, you know, when it comes down to, you know, this action taking place, and the reason why I'm doing this is because a lot of times people who are raped really don't come forward. And this is the reason why a lot of people who are raped do not come forth as reference to, you know, being raped, because when you're raped, a lot of times the rapists get to go free. Now, you have to understand, the rapist is now walking free, that you see the picture, you see what they look like, and now when you go down the street, every time you see that person, that image of that person, you think that it's them coming to get you. Because now you feel like it's a target. Now you feel as though, you know, that someone's going to try to do something to you. Do you know that 1 in 5 women in the USA have been raped, and 1 in 71 men have been raped, according to the National Coalition of Domestic Violence? Do you know that 46.7 women have been raped by acquaintances, but someone they knew, and 44.9% of men have been raped by someone that they knew? Did you also know that 19.3 million women have been stalked and 51 million men have been stalked, which makes that 60.8% was women and 43.5% was men. So that's like more than half of women have been stalked, and almost close to half, 4.5 men have been stalked by people that they don't know. Stalk means that you're walking down the street and you really realize that someone is actually following you. And we talked about this before, you know, you never know who's watching you. And as far as the person being raped, you know, they said that 46.7 women has been raped by someone that they knew, which is almost close to 50% of women that's been raped by people that they knew. And 44.9 of men have been raped by someone that they knew. I never knew the statistics was up so high, you know, but in this world, you know, it's not surprising. You know, so the thing about it is that the message that is letting you know that a lot of times when we are raped, we're actually raped by someone we actually knew. Which I already talked about this before in reference to the video, but in case you forgot about it or you didn't see the video, I'm just letting you know. Most of the times the rape cases are taking place by someone that you actually knew. It's really not by a stranger most of the time. You know, I'm not saying that strangers don't rape, but most of the times it's someone who you had your guard down that you trusted. And these actually usually take place when it's someone that's actually in your house or been to your house. You know, and it's sad, there's 1 in 5 women has been raped by someone they knew, and 1 in, 71 men have been raped, you know. But I believe that it's a lot more higher than that, because a lot of times people are not going to go forth. And the reason why people don't go forth is exactly what you see right now on the case of Brock Turner. You know, when they do come forth, they see what happens. And the sad part about it is the victim, whoever know her, y'all need to really be around her right about now, because the victim, you know, they overturned and everything, and it's just happened just 3 days ago. So y'all need to really be around her and stuff, because a lot of times when this happens, it makes a person feel like they're not worth anything. I don't know the victim, but I'm sure people may know her, who she is. Make sure you stay real close to her. Make sure you, like, if you want to be around her a lot, because this is the time when people feel like they're less worth. And this is when that suicide stuff will start really taking place. Because I've watched them with else that, you know, when this happened to, they start having suicidal thoughts. So, you know, just kind of like be around her and, like, you know, don't let her know what you're doing, because a lot of times when you let people know what you're doing, they kind of push you away. So, you know, just keep them really active and, you know, just keep her being around her. Hey, girl, what's going on? Hang around her, invite her out to the movies, you know, just keep pulling her close to you. Just don't let her know exactly why you're doing it, because a lot of times when you start doing that, people start pushing you away. Say, hey, girl, what's up? You know, come on, let's go hang out. You know, we need to do something. Hey, girl, come on. You know, just keep pulling her to you. It's my point, you know. You know, because right about now, she's going to need her circle to be really tight, you know. And right about now, she's going to really start pushing people away and won't want to be bothered, you know. So that's just my message, you know, and I don't know. Just pull her closer. Because right about now is the worst part of her life. Because right about now, of people who have been attacked like myself, it makes you feel so less worth of life. It makes you feel like no one really cares about you. Even though people are going to say, you know, girl, but a lot of times, sometimes we don't want to hear it. Because this is like a slap in her face. She can't leave her. And that's the reason why I say to people who know her, circle around her, be around her, keep her active, keep her busy. You know, and the thing about it, she's going to need time, but still be patient with her and stuff, you know. That's just my opinion. You don't have to listen, but anyway. It's just food for thought for the girls like me. You know, I just want you to just always be careful. And for anyone out there, you know, it's just overwhelming. It's just a slap in the face. And it's the reason why me and a lot of other people never went forth. Because we feel that we can be blamed. And like the judge, just let them off. Anyway, I'm not surprised. Anyway, hopefully everybody's having a safe weekend. It's Labor Day weekend. Like I said before, just be safe, and it's the weekend, so make sure you're very careful what you drink, and make sure you look at everything that you're drinking and stuff. You know, so remember, rape happens with people that they know, people that they trusted. Once your guard is down, you're easier target. It is horrific to wake up the next day to see that you fought back, and then a slap in the face is that they let the person go like it's no big deal. And it's just a slap in the face to me. Anyway, I want to thank you for watching. I want to let you know that I love you. Until we meet again.